Hello everyone, welcome back to my show. I'm in the kitchen today, which is unusual, I guess, for this. Usually I'm sitting in my study, but I'm in a different part of the house and Socks is outside sitting on top of the car guarding the little library, as he does when he gets the chance. I thought I'm talking about Doctor Who again. I'm sorry, those of you who don't care for Doctor Who, but I've had this complete epiphany last night about where I think the show should go. Because it seems to me as if there's going to be some kind of hiatus. It's not going to be on for a while, or at least they don't know yet what's going to become of our beloved show. I've really loved the last couple of seasons. There's been loads and loads of good stuff. I loved Saturday mornings getting up and having coffee and bacon sandwiches and watching new Doctor Who. I loved so many episodes. The Eurovision one, I think is my favourite for years and years. There's something about having everything in one episode. Every kind of emotion and songs and daft dancing creatures and really thrilling bits. I think there's been some really dark episodes recently as well as ludicrously light and silly ones. But there's been a preponderance of lore, as they call it these days, L-O-R-E, what we used to call continuity. And by the end of it, it was so kind of overcomplicated, I think, for whatever reason. And I found that to be true of the last few seasons, including going back to the Flux season, which as an old-time fan, I absolutely adored. I loved Flux more than almost all Doctor Who of recent years. I don't know why. I think because it was flawed and, well, Flux is flaw and law and various other words, all in one. And I love all those complications because I'm not just a fan, I'm a writer of this stuff. And in my time in Doctor Who stuff, whoops, that's the bin falling over. In my time doing Doctor Who stuff, I've loved mixing that stuff up, finding gaps in the continuity and messing about with them, finding new things to say within the established continuity of Doctor Who. I loved creating the Nest Cottage Chronicles for Tom Baker when we got him to come back on audio, and Radio 4 Extra and all of that stuff, because we found a niche for his Doctor, older, wiser, stranger, to occupy. But it still happens within the ongoing story of Doctor Who. And to me, it's astonishing that for all these years, since 1963, in multimedia formats, as well as TV, Doctor Who has kept on going this idea of a continuous story. Every Doctor remembers being the previous one. Apart from the inclusion of the timeless child mythology, which has come in recent years when the Doctor realises there are lives she doesn't remember. That, to me, is really exciting. The idea of hidden enclaves of history within a franchise like this. And it makes me think that the best way I could see doing Doctor Who now, if I was asked to to redo it myself right now, if I was asked to write it, I would reboot the whole thing. I've never thought this before. I've never agreed with it as a strategy before, but now I really think I would take it all away. I would treat it like every generation treats Dracula or Robin Hood or Sherlock Holmes. Nobody expected the wonderful Sherlock Holmes that Granada did with Jeremy Brett in the 1980s. Nobody expected him to remember being Peter Cushing or Gary Oldman to remember being Bela Lugosi as Dracula. These stories are legends and we shake off all the bits that have come before. We remember them and we enjoy them. We love going back to them. But what's wrong with a remake? And I love the idea that you could start a series that would be set in contemporary days and seen through the eyes of contemporary characters. Even two school teachers from a school these days worrying about a child in their class and finding out that their grandparent, either grandmother or grandfather, doesn't have an actual address, has instead a police box, and they follow the child home to try and intervene and everybody gets kidnapped and taken off into time and space by this curmudgeonly old person who could be, I don't know, Charles Dance or Helen Mirren. They'd be two good choices. I like the idea of the Doctor being older again, having a younger cast following him around. I like him or her being completely mysterious again. And I was reminded by a friend of mine, Brett, today about how in the pilot of the original Doctor Who, Susan and the Doctor said they came from the 49th century. And that was revised, and later on we get all this Time Lord gubbins. I would take out all the Time Lord gubbins. It's a very 1960s and then 1970s kind of superhero version of what super beings from another planet might be. I would make them something else altogether. But I would make it all mysterious to start with. I think I would just have the Doctor and his TARDIS, and I'd bring in the Daleks, of course, because you have to have that moment when the TARDIS arrives in a petrified forest and eventually encounters a city of, are they robots? Are they cyborgs? Are they good? Are they bad? I love the idea of the audience not knowing what's coming, the Doctor and his companions not knowing what's coming, even the Doctor not knowing about the Daleks. But the older people in the audience do know, and they're saying to the kids who are watching, just wait and see what happens. I think there's too much continuity to carry around for people. I think going off and having to Google the Rani or Google Sutek or the Sontarans or whatever is fun for a certain part of the audience, but not all of them. I think it should all be kind of present. I feel the same about Marvel, and I'm someone who's read Marvel comics all my life, and Star Wars. I don't expect my fan wishes to be granted by the things I'm watching on TV. So that's what I'm knocking the pans. Look, we have these pans above my head. A constellation of saucepans. That's where I'm at thinking about it. How fun to begin a series where people don't have to know anything at all. They just have to be drawn into the adventure and the idea that you can go anywhere, and then you take them to meet Cleopatra and do a story about the burning of the library in Alexandria, and then you take them to Skaro, where even the Doctor doesn't know what Skaro means. Maybe it sounds old-fashioned in some ways. In some ways it probably is, but that's how I'm seeing it today. It might change tomorrow. So let's see. I don't know what they're going to do in the future. I hope there is something new to come. I hope there is more to come. I'm sure there will be. Anyway, that's where I stand with Doctor Who today. I hope everyone's well, and I will see you all again quite soon on my show, not channel, show. Goodbye.